YouTube, this is a pretty big deal. Israel declares war after surprise Hamas attack. And apparently, they were using paragliders to breach the territory. That's absolutely wild to me that gliders were used in a military operation in 2023. See what they got to say.
Done it sometimes in small boats going out into the Mediterranean and then back onto the Israeli shoreline. This morning, for the first time, they crossed by air in paragliders. It is not clear.
In paragliders, that is wild. I actually wish I could have seen that somehow. I mean, maybe we'll find some footage of that, but I wonder how many of them, right? Obviously, if there was a couple paragliders up in the air, we probably wouldn't be hearing about it. That just sounds crazy. Them paragliding into enemy territory.
How many of them? But these are armed, highly trained Hamas militants landing by air, catching the Israeli state completely by surprise.
Holy crap, imagine that. Yo, imagine you get up one day and you see paragliders in the air and you realize that they're actually, well, from your perspective, they're armed terrorists. They're paragliding down to the ground. They got some kind of weapon in hand. That's just wild. Geez, in 2023, that is wild. You would think they'd bust the door down with a helicopter or something. No, paragliders.
Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed his people earlier today, and he said Israel is at war. This is above and...
Yeah, this isn't just a headline, by the way. They've officially declared war officially. Like, there's a declaration of war. So that's a big deal. Get your fab defense stuff while you can. Like, man, I hope this isn't going to affect the bipod that I was going to get for my rifle. Damn. The reason I say that is because the Zastava has an export ban that they're dealing with right now. You can't buy Zastava AKs right now because they can't export them in fear of political and military turmoil going on in that part of the world. They're trying to hold on to all their guns right now just in case they have to use them all. So if you wanted a Zastava, I hope you got one a few months ago. Israel makes a lot of good stuff that I buy. They make all of the shock resistant shock absorber stocks that I use. A lot of their accessories I use. I love their foregrip slash bipod 2-in-1 quick deploy. The thing has worked so well for me. I get it for every rifle. I even put one on one of the shotguns that I had that doesn't even need a bipod. Just the grip part of it is so good. So I was going to order another one, and it's like, I might as well get those orders through because you never know. Israel might be too busy actually fighting a war to sell us weapons and accessories and stuff. I guess we will have to see.
Beyond those rounds of fighting that the world has got used to over the last decade, where we see Israel and Hamas fighting for 72 hours a week, this is on a much, much bigger scale. There isn't this...
I'm sorry. I know Hamas got the surprise attack in and all, and that's probably because they needed to. But from what I know, after World War II, Israel was like, never again. Never again. Nuh-uh. So I know they're armed to the goddamn teeth, right? So we will have to see how this whole thing pans out. But this was very surprising. I can only imagine the damage that's been done. But I doubt Israel is going to sit idly by. They are very armed, right? We'll have to see.
point, no official word on death tolls, but the videos we are seeing are absolutely harrowing, showing bodies, what appear to be bodies of both Israeli soldiers and...
By the way, they said that they started the assault with like 20,000 rockets. Like, this wasn't just some people paragliding in. There was some sort of artillery. You guys can check out this NBC News clip right here. They dropped it 7 hours ago. But in the very beginning of this, you do see actual missiles and rockets being fired in the background. That is just wild.
Civilians, and this is a country right now that is bracing for the absolute worst.
Raph, do we have any idea how many of these attackers have infiltrated Israel?
Joe, it's a really good question, and I asked the Israeli military earlier.
Like, how many paragliders could you get together? You know what I mean? It must have been like a whole swarm of them things if they were trying to really make an impact. Also, you'd think we would have a drone for this. Like, you think we would have, I mean, it wouldn't take much, really. A drone with some sort of little Uzi attached to it, some sort of something like that. That is just a hovering munition that just floats up in the air for hours at a time. And if some paragliders, some hang gliders are coming through on an attack, you would think that, we have the technology to have some drones up there to just turn any paraglider into mincemeat, I would guess. So obviously, I would think this is one of those strategies, this paraglider thing, that's like only going to work once. We'll have to see. It's wild.
They would not say, but just judging by the number of locations, at this moment there is fighting. The most recent information we have, at least 5 locations across southern Israel. That suggests that we are looking at squads in large numbers. I asked the Israeli military, Are we talking dozens?
Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 plumes of smoke from 5 different battles happening right now across the land. That is wild.
Are we talking hundreds? They would not say. What they were prepared to say is that Israeli fighter jets are in action right now. We have been seeing them in the skies across southern Israel.
That's the problem though with your Air Force, your jets. Like, what do you do when the enemy is on your territory? Right? All of a sudden, then you don't want to be throwing rockets and missiles. You don't want to blow up half your own city to deal with half a squad of the enemy. So, yeah, that's wild. That's probably why they wanted to paraglide and get up into the fray before Israel could use its very gnarly air superiority.
They are striking targets inside of Gaza, trying to stop this barrage of rocket fire. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, there's an ambulance just coming past us now. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says, what is going on?
Okay, so I guess, yeah, that makes some sense, right? Like, if there is a squad of enemies, of infidels, of whatever you want to call them, and they are making rocket attacks, they got RPGs or whatever, and they're held up in a building, and they're just RPGing the shit out of everything around them. Okay, maybe we do take that building out to save all the buildings around it. Oh, that is rough.
Right now, in terms of Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, is only the beginning of what will be a major Israeli retaliation. But guys, the priority for the Israeli military right now is to regain control of these cities where there are still Israeli civilians inside, and nobody at this point knows the scale of the death toll.
I'm going to be honest with you, part of me, I feel for the Hamas soldiers too. Like, imagine being forced into that. Like, hey, we're doing a surprise attack mission. You're going. Good luck, whether you want to be there or not. Now, I don't know too much about Hamas and how they are as a military organization or a paramilitary organization or whatever you want to, classify them as. I don't know how many of their soldiers are really all about this life, but that is tough right there. paragliding into some Israeli territory, and what now? Like, what do you do now, man? Do you wait for the rest of the Hamas forces to come and actually take the city by force and join back up with them, or is it like a hit and run tactic? Like, you're gonna paraglide in, you're gonna shoot your 4 rockets, you're gonna plant this bomb on your way out and get the hell out of there. Like, this is wild to me, because like, what can you expect out of forces that you have paraglide in there? There better be some helicopters following the paragliders type thing, right? Like, I could see paragliders being used to then target like air defense systems or something like that, so that once you reach your objective and you take out some kind of air defense system, then some helicopters can actually bring in more of your troops and you could actually have a chance of survival. But we'll have to see exactly what the whole point of these paragliders, like what their objective is. And obviously they're still trying to figure that out right now.
Right, that's got to be the first priority, obviously, Iraq. Do we have a sense of exactly how many people were taken? I know you told us that they were going across the border, making sure, obviously, that no more people are taken essentially as hostages. Do we know at all right now?
Oh, that's terrible. And they're like taking people along the way as hostages. You know, in my mind, that's something that the weaker side does. That's something where you already know it's not going to be good for you, and you're looking for an avenue to make your potential loss less painful with hostages. Like, you're looking for some way to negotiate something. I mean, I don't know, ordering your troops to take hostages along the way. That, to me, first of all, just sounds like a pain in the dick, because now, like, your troops are actually taking up their time to be kidnappers and assholes, instead of, you know, fighting the opposition or whatever. And that takes manpower to kidnap people and to hold them freaking hostage. So they must see that as something that they can do to get something out of it. I mean, like, you're not going to take hostages for no freaking reason. I doubt they're collecting them just to be assholes and execute all of them. It's just, to me, it's not something that a strong invading force does. Like, I don't know, I couldn't see my army doing that. That's all I'm saying. Just hostages.
Laura, there is no more sensitive piece of information in Israel right now than how many people have been taken hostage, how many are alive, or how many are dead. The Israeli...
And what do you do with that? We have, 5,000 of your people as hostages. Surrender your country. Like, just give up the city, surrender, and we'll let these 1,000 people go. What? What are you going to do with the damn hostages? What are you going to use them to try to get? Like,
government, the nation of Israel, will go to enormous lengths to get its people back, whether they are live civilians, whether they are dead soldiers. And the scale of the Israeli response...
That's right. Never again. And I can tell you why the Israelis do this. Because none of them want any of their colleagues, their brothers, their sisters. They don't want any of their people to end up at anything that remotely even resembles a concentration camp. I feel that. I get it. I fully understand why they have that policy. They really have a no man left behind type thing. Never again. And their AKs are always loaded.
Will be determined by how many Israelis are inside of Gaza right now. If there are civilians in large numbers there, we may see a situation.
Yo, look at that giant plume of smoke. Some building just got hit or something. That's wild.
where the Israeli government feels it has no choice. Lord, we're just hearing the air defense going off here. There's no sirens at the moment, so we're good. I'm going to keep talking to you. But this is just a very live situation. You can see Israel.
Don't they have the Iron Dome? Like, isn't that one of the air defense systems? So, like, it's really good against missile and rocket attacks. It, like, shoots them out of the sky. They were talking about potentially bringing some of that over to Ukraine. Hey, maybe that's why they sent the paragliders. You guys need to take down this Iron Dome system so we can do something. Or we're going to have to use these hostages to get them to take down their air defense system. We'll let these 5,000 people go right now if you turn off your air defense systems.
Forces on the ground behind me, behind my camera operator, Dave Copeland. There's actually smoke from where a rocket.
I wish I could open the screen on my Z Fold right now, enlarge this a little bit and actually see what they're carrying back there. They're probably rocking, like, I don't know, some AKs or something that they're walking around with back there.
It hit earlier on, but depending on the number of Israeli civilians who are inside of Gaza, that will determine the scale of the Israeli response. And it may very well be that the government of Israel feels it has no choice but to mount some kind of large-scale ground offensive into Gaza in the densely populated cities of Khan Yunis, of Gaza.
Think about how wild that's going to be. Think about that. Is the Israeli forces launching an attack, an organized attack, and some of the armament, some of the guns and equipment and some of the stuff that they have in Israel is some pretty top-notch stuff. They've been making guns, they've been making weapon systems. We might actually get to see the full might. Some of the full extent of the might that Israel wields over there. This is just wild to me. It almost, I don't want to say that like they've awoken the sleeping giant, but this is wild. Maybe they've declared, the whole purpose of this or why they're attacking this particular time. I'm sure this just stems back to old wars. There's always been a thing with Israel and Palestine, so who knows exactly what attributed to all of this. I mean, a lot of people would just say it's been a long time coming, and it is what it is. They did start this broadcast off by saying that the people of Israel are shocked and surprised, and they were caught off guard. So, who knows how much of that is true? Did they see this coming? I don't know.
City where there are so many civilians among these Palestinian militants. And it is a situation like that. We have already seen what appears to be a very serious loss of life this morning.
Yeah.
But an Israeli ground invasion inside of Gaza could take this death toll to a whole new level. So everyone in this region is holding their breaths right now. Guys.
Ralph Sanchez, you and your team continue.
Just think about this. For the great majority of World War II, we couldn't really see any of that. Like, you just took the general's word for what was going on out in the battlefield. Everybody has smartphones nowadays. There's cameras everywhere. We have real battlefield footage of the war in Ukraine that's going on right now, even though Putler probably doesn't want to call it a war. It's his special operation, sorry. The point is, that thing is raging, and we actually have combat footage of that. So I imagine it wouldn't take us too long to get real combat footage of all the stuff that's going on here, and not just from, NBC News. There's going to be people recording stuff, and there's going to be videos going up. So this is a conflict to keep an eye on. It already started off with paragliders, yo.
You to stay safe. We'll let you go for now, but we will be checking back with you later this morning.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, let's bring in NBC's chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel. He is on the phone with us. Richard, good morning. Your first reaction to this news?
Well, I think that Hamas and Israel are at war, and I think this is going to escalate into a more significant conflict over the next several hours, over the next several days. This is unprecedented, as Raf was saying. We've seen violence from the Palestinians. We've seen attacks from Gaza into Israel, but not this scale where you're having potentially...
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get at before, is like, I know there's like a history and a past with, you know, Palestine and Israel, and what exactly led to this, I don't know. Was there some kind of political incident that happened on the DL that like I just don't know about, and then they were like, you know what, screw this. In the morning, we hit them with everything we got, or if this was just business as usual for them, like they've been planning this for years, and who knows.
Dozens of militants flying in on hang gliders and coming in by the sea and crossing in by land, presumably by tunnels or holes in the border fence.
Here's my question with all of that too. Is there a shit ton of hang gliders in like this part of the world? Is that something that like people do all the time, right? Because like if I'm stationed at a military base, right, and all of a sudden I see, 50 hand gliders up in the air, and I'm not used to seeing hand gliders around here at all, like, that would be fairly obvious, I would think. Like, oh, look, there's 400 hand gliders up in the air right now, and they're all coming this way, I would think they caught on to that pretty quick. Right? But then, what are you going to do, right? You let the paragliders land, and while they're landing, you take your shots at them, I guess, right? Because that's got to be pretty bad to be on a hang glider. I mean, I'm trying to use my imagination here. I'm guessing that maybe I could pull my AK out in front of me and, like, brace it on the flying bar, whatever the hell they call that thing that they hold on to on the paraglider, and you could glide and maybe get some of that full auto action going with your AK. And I don't know. I don't think, obviously I'm joking, I don't think anybody's going to be able to operate a hand glider and be effective with any sort of weapon. Maybe if you're a hand glider pro. So like these hand gliders, they just came in and were like sitting ducks, right? I mean, while they're landing, while you're slowly gliding in, you are a sitting duck. So I wonder how many of those paraglider groups of infidels got plugged before they could even land. Yeah, because if you saw that coming at all, one guy could take a squad out. So, very interesting strategy with the hand gliders. I can't wait to get some more details on that and to see how that all panned out. If it was actually effective for them, if it achieved anything at all, or if it was just a one-off strategy that we will never see in war ever again because it failed so miserably. I don't know. There's a lot of plumes of smoke, though, all over in the background, so we will have to see.
And the fact that they are still engaged in running battles in multiple locations in southern Israel is something that will be shocking to the Israeli people. I know that several of the airports and transit points into Israel are already facing delays or cancellation.
You would think. Well, you know what? No, I don't know if they would be trying to capture airports like what was going on in Ukraine, because from my understanding of it, like the Ruskies wanted the airports so they could fly in supplies and troops and shit. I don't really, geographically, this is completely different. So I don't even, who knows if Hamas even cares about the airports. Obviously, you would to a certain extent because that is how your enemy is going to get their supplies in and their soldiers in. Or if anybody was going to help Israel, they would probably fly in to their airport, right? Interesting. We will have to see how this goes. If I missed anything about this, which I'm sure I did, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this whole thing. I think it's just absolutely insane. This came out of nowhere. It really just blew my mind. Typically, before there's a declaration of war, there's some sort of buildup. Not really the case here. And you could argue that you could say that there's always been an issue between Israel and Hamas, but this came out of left field for me. I didn't expect to hear anything about Israel actually declaring war. Like, this is wild. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Let me know where we go from here. Oh yeah, get your Fab Defense stuff and anything that you want from Israel. I guess get it now while you can, because when countries go to war, they stop imports, exports. They do a lot of funny things. So if you need anything from Israel, I mean, if you were looking for that Israeli mail order bride or something, you better pick her out. You better pick her out quick. Anyway, let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Oh yeah, make sure to like and sub too. Later.